Hey guys, Mars Thinking here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today we are going to do the team building guide for the Android 21 and Android 16 Extreme Z battle event, the Fighters Edition EZA. So if you checked out the Heroes guide that I made previously, the wiki has been really lax lately for some reason with updating the site at a reasonable pace. So even though this information all came out quite a long time ago, there isn't a page for their EZA event. So normally I would start the video by showing that. It is a typical 30-stage EZA. You start off by fighting 16 for the first half and then 21 at the end. And the only type restriction is that once you get to stage 20, STR units will start to do basically no damage. So we are going to include a couple of STR units because of how good they are defensively, but they are the units you kind of want to steer away from. And because you end up fighting 21 at the end, all the way up to stage 30 and then beyond, if you want to farm extra stages to get more Zenny, considering there's literally like 12 EZAs coming out on global, you definitely want to prioritize AGL units. So as always with my team building guides, we'll be going over some top picks and honorable mentions. If there's any units you think I missed out on, or an aspect of a unit that I did talk about that I didn't cover in enough detail, or something you need clarification on, let me know down below in the comment section and we can continue the discussion down there. So first of all, I did say in the previous one, if you haven't seen it, I would advise doing the Dragon Ball Heroes EZA event first, because the Dragon Ball Heroes EZA event, you need Dragon Ball Heroes characters for it, so you can't use 21 or 16. But because 21 and 16 event, you need to use crossover, if you've already EZA'd those 7 Heroes units, you can use them in this event, and then they're going to be super useful. So I would definitely recommend doing that first. I would also recommend doing all of your summons first, because obviously a bunch of the new units are potentially going to be very useful. So if we just have a quick look down the list of the units that came out, so Meki Kabura is pretty busted. He's going to be super good. Not only is he AGL, so he's got type advantage, but he has a crossover leader skill, so he's going to be a perfect unit. Even if you bring a leader with a better leader skill, he's going to be one of the better units on this team for sure. And then obviously the new God Trunks is a Heroes lead. Every single Heroes unit is on crossover, so you technically can just make a Heroes team. It just means you can't use any of the units that are crossover units but not Dragon Ball Heroes. So obviously if you use a leader that has the Heroes leader skill, you can't use some of the units that we are going to mention that are crossover but not Heroes. Pan is another one. She has a crossover leader skill which is actually pretty good, 3 key 150. She's also a Dragon Ball Heroes support unit, so the more heroes you have, the more support she's going to be giving to the whole team, which is really good. We also have the Awakenings for the new units. Their pages aren't on the wiki, so I don't have them open as tabs, but obviously units like the Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks, because he's AGL, he's going to be really good. The Xeno Goku, he's physical, so he's got type disadvantage at the end, but if you've got a bunch of Goku family units, he can still be really good. And then the Gohanks and Vegeks and Xeno Vegeta, they're only going to be type neutral, but they're all very good as well. So all of these guys are definitely strong options to bring on the team, just unfortunately they don't have proper wiki pages that we can bring up. So moving on to the actual wiki pages here, we have Super Saiyan 4 Vegito is currently the best leader for crossover. He has 3 key and 170 as his leader skill. He is a physical type unit, so obviously he's going to have type disadvantage towards the end of the event, so he will potentially take quite a lot of damage from a super attack, but he does have that 50% chance to counter a super attack. So if you get good RNG, you're not going to take any damage at all, but if you get bad RNG, potentially could get you killed taking a type disadvantage super attack. So that's something you got to be careful with. I still think he's good to use on the team because he's a very solid unit. He raises defense on super, so anything other than a super attack he will still tank reasonably well. And he's also a crossover support unit. He does also provide support to Giant 8 power units, so if you are bringing any of the other heroes, Super Saiyan 4s, he's going to be giving them a little bit of an extra buff as well. But he's definitely got the highest leader skill, even if he's not necessarily the best pick for a leader. So Moving on, we have the STR Bardock. So he's a unit that has crossover as his sub-lead, but I honestly think you're probably better off if you have characters with the slightly higher percentage. You're probably better off using a heroes lead and then only using heroes units. But a 120 leader then with a friend like 170 leader is easily going to be more than good enough for you to get through this event. The only thing to bear in mind, of course, again, is that he is an STR unit. So once you get towards the end of the event, he's not really going to do any damage. When you've got decent amount of health, he's effective against all types and gets a guaranteed crit, but none of that is going to matter because he gets like 80% damage reduction. So he's kind of like a last resort leader just because he has the crossover category leader skill. So next up we have the Demon Goddess Toa. She's got a heroes lead for 150, so I mean I would recommend using her over the Super Saiyan 4 Bardock. It just means that you're relegated to only using heroes units and you can't use any of the crossover units, but realistically there's only a few units that are only crossover and not heroes that are really good for this, so it's not the biggest sacrifice in the world if you can only run a heroes team. So she's definitely a good stand-in for that. She's also really good for EZAs because once you drop below 50% HP once only, she gives you a 50% heal. So super good in an EZA because you can't use items in these events. So very, very good. Next up we have the Dabura. He's a heroes leader for 130. So again, decent stand-in if you just run a full heroes team. He's also AGL. When you're fighting one enemy, he gets bonus attack and defense. So his stats are going to be pretty good. He also has... you know, a attack lowering effect, but that's not really going to be super useful because by the time you get to stage 15 and you're fighting the Android 21, I think you can't lower attack at stage 15. If you can, it's only up until stage 20, but I think you can't by stage 15. So he's not going to be great for any of his utility, but he's got 200% attack and defense and type advantage. So he's still going to be pretty decent. And he's got decent links with some of the other demon characters if you are bringing like Toa or Mechikabura or something like that. So he's going to be pretty decent. Next up, we have the Super Saiyan 3 Trunks. So this is what I was saying about doing the EZA event first. Super Saiyan 3 Trunks, Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks, and the Super Saiyan 3 Gohan. I would say probably all three of them, apart from Trunks, are not that useful in this event if you haven't EZA'd them yet, because Gohan might be okay, but he's not great defensively, and Gotenks is pretty much unusable in the current meta without his EZA. So that's why I was saying at the beginning, you should probably do the Heroes EZA event first, and then jump into this one, and you're going to have a much easier time, because all three of these Super Saiyan 3s are going to be really, really useful in this event. So I definitely recommend doing it that way around. Next up, we have the AGL Bardock. Everybody likes to meme on him at the moment, but he is a crossover character that is going to have type advantage. Obviously, you're not fighting a Wicked Bloodline enemy, so you can't transform into Super Saiyan until you get to the 4th turn. But that's pretty easy to do in an EZA once you get to the later stages, and especially if you are farming past stage 30 for Zenny. So once you get to stage 4, you can transform into a Super Saiyan, and then you get the chance to dodge and the chance to crit. So you can do a little bit of extra damage. He's not the best anymore in terms of defense, but EZAs are not the hardest content in the world. So if you're someone who only wants to beat the 30 stages and you don't care about farming Zenny, he's easily going to be good enough up until that point. So he's perfectly fine, but he's not the biggest sacrifice if you are running a full Heroes team, like I said earlier, to not be able to bring crossover units. But if you've got him, he can be pretty good here. So Super Saiyan 4 Broly is next. He's really good if you are running Super Saiyan 4 Vegito and you run them together as a rotation. They share quite a lot of their links. Vegito gives him support. He fires off multiple super attacks. His defense isn't the craziest, so towards the later stages he might start taking a lot of damage, especially if he's getting hit with a super attack, but he's able to dish out a ton of damage. And with some of the new characters we have, like the new Pan and some of the other new supports, like having him on rotation with Super Saiyan 4 Vegito and then another support unit, he's going to be busting out multiple attack stats, multiple super attacks with like a pretty high attack stat. So he is a solid option for dealing damage. Even if you only use him early on and then switch him out later, he could help you beat some of the earlier stages really quickly. So next up we have the Marseillan. So he's another unit that of course is only a crossover unit and not Dragon Ball Heroes, so depending on your lead you might not be able to use him. But after his EZA he is of course really good. He's got very solid stats, he raises attack and defense on super, he's just overall a solid unit. He's better suited to longer form events, but he can definitely be very, very good in this event as well. And then next up we should have both of the Marseillans, the Dark Mask King and the Black Marseillan. Both of these guys will be super good in this event because Dark Mask King, as long as you have a Dragon Ball Heroes ally on rotation with him, he guards. He's got decent defense, and then once he takes a hit, he gets an extra 100% defense for 5 turns. So you put this guy in slot 1, get him to guard, his defense jumps up after he takes the first hit, and then he gets to attack, and he recovers 10% HP, 10% of the damage he deals as HP. And then you stick him next to the Black Marseillan. I talked about him in the Heroes guide because at the end of the Heroes EZA, you're fighting a tech enemy, and this guy's not as great defensively as Dark Mask King or even the Tech Marseillan. But in this EZA, we're fighting an STR enemy at the end, so you're going to have type advantage. So that kind of shores up a little bit of his defensive liability. So that rotation of him and the Dark Mask King together is going to be really, really good. Like, his defense is not bad at all, but in harder events, when he's type neutral or even type disadvantage, he can take a bit of a pasting. But in this, where you've got type advantage, and again, if you're only going up to like stage 30, he's not going to have any issue whatsoever. So he is going to be very solid in this event. Next up, we have the Baby Janemba. He's another one of the units that gets an EZA, so he's just going to be super, super good. He still has his dodge chance, and then he just has solid attack and defense and recovers HP at the start of the turn, which is always useful in an event where you can't use healing items. So he's going to be very good, especially post EZA. Next up, we have Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, so another crossover only character. But Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, I feel like people don't talk about him a lot anymore because he's not good in long events. But in short events, he's still probably the best defensive unit in the game outside of maybe AGL Golden Frieza. But he has a HP restriction, whereas Vegeta literally just has, for 10 turns, he has 80% damage reduction. So this guy is a unit that you can bring if you want to get past like stage 30 and farm Zenny. This guy is going to be able to tank even supers like way up into the hundreds, I would imagine. The only problem, of course, as an STR unit, he's not going to be dealing any damage. But if you want to get super far in those EZAs, then obviously having a really, really good tank is going to be very useful. And we've already brought a load of other Super Saiyan 3 units into the equation, so he's going to share decent links with them. So he is going to be a very solid choice as well for defense. Next up, we have the Super Saiyan 3 Xeno Goku. He's in a similar role. I mentioned him in the Heroes video as being one of the best units you can bring on that team. In this one, his value is decreased a little bit because he's an STR unit, so he's not going to be dealing a lot of damage. But he's still going to be very good defensively because he guards. Depending on how many Dragon Ball Heroes allies you have on the team, he's going to have a bunch of damage reduction. So if you are running the build where you're basically just running a full Heroes team, then his damage reduction is going to be really, really good. So again, like the Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, he's going to be a really strong tank. I don't think you need to bring both of them because, like I said, they're not going to do any damage. So if you want to farm really far past stage 30, you don't really want two units that, even though they are super good tanks, they basically deal no damage. But if you're only trying to get past the 30 stages, having one of them on each rotation to be like a mega tank is going to be really, really good. So next up we have Fu. Most of the heroes and some crossover units that aren't in Heroes are in Time Travelers. He only needs to have 4 Time Traveler allies on the team, and one of them is him, so he only needs to have 3 other ones. And then he'll have 40% chance to dodge. He gives himself some ki as well, so it's not hard to super attack with him. Just be aware that he only gets all of his defense on super attack, so you can put him in slot 1 if you want to take the risk of getting those dodges, but if he doesn't dodge any of those attacks before he's super attacked, he is going to take quite a lot of damage. So he's a really good choice for like the 6th unit on the team if you need to finish out your build, and then you can just put him in slot 3, have him super attack first, and then potentially dodge. And then even if he doesn't dodge, he also raises defense on super, so post super attack his defense is very good. Then we have the actual Android 16 himself. I thought I would throw him in here because obviously you can't fully EZA him until you've beaten the whole thing, but he's still pretty good defensively. He has a high chance to guard. He gets more defense the more androids you have on the team, and obviously we don't really have any that we've talked about so far. So he's definitely not like a top tier pick, but he's an honourable mention for the fact that, like, if you like, he's one of those units that fills that role where if you've got your 5 units that you know you want to bring, and then you just have to pick somebody else to finish out the team, you could bring the Android 16. And then last but not least, we have the Boo Barbady. Again, he's another one of the units that's getting an EZA, so if you've done that first, he's going to be much more useful. He's a really good defensive support unit, so he's not going to be dealing a lot of damage, but he's going to be helping to make the team a lot more strong defensively. So we also have that I wanted to mention, because obviously the wiki doesn't have the pages, so it slipped my mind to open them up. But we're getting the awakenings for the GT Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, the physical Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, and finally STR Super Saiyan 2 Trunks. STR Super Saiyan 2 Trunks is becoming a crossover support unit, so he's going to be really, really good. And then both of the Vegetas become very, very good defensively, so they're both really solid options as well. The physical one, obviously not so much, because he's got type disadvantage in the final phase. He can guard, I believe. But obviously he's not going to do a lot of damage because he's a physical unit. But the tech one could definitely be worth bringing along as well, especially because we have a lot of Super Saiyan 3s that we've talked about already. So there you go. Crossover does have a lot of other options. There's definitely some other units you can bring. I did think about mentioning the LR Goku and Arale because they are a free-to-play LR, and they're pretty good, but there's just not a lot of other units on the team that you can bring that share a lot of links with them, but they're definitely still a solid free-to-play option. Like, if you're a free-to-play player and you need to fill that final slot on the team, they could definitely be a solid pick. Just remember, of course, that they are only a crossover unit and not heroes, so you need to make sure you have a crossover leader skill. So there you go. Those are my top picks and honourable mentions for the 16 and 21 EZA with the crossover team. Let me know if there's any units you think I should have talked about more, or any units I missed completely. If you need clarification on anything, any of the reasons why I picked units or what they specifically do, let me know down below in the comment section and we can continue the discussion down there. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.